Hello and welcome to Matt Loves Eurovision. It's my Eurovision 2026 Top 35 countdown, place number 30, Serbia, Lavina, Kraj, mene. Please do click on the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and like, share, and comment below. So it's my first visit of my countdown to the Balkans, and we land upon Serbia, who, despite this seemingly low position in my top 35, are actually higher than they were last year in my countdown when Princ was second from bottom. Now, last year was actually, in the contest itself, was their worst result to date. They finished 14th out of 16th in the semi-final. So it's very much up to Lavina to restore Serbian success at the contest. I should also say this is probably the first big example of where my personal music tastes are not aligned with what is probably the quality of the entry or indeed its potential at the contest. So yes, getting that caveat out of the way straight away. Now, Lavina are a progressive metal band, and I think those of you who are familiar with some of my personal music tastes will know why this is lower in the countdown than perhaps you might have otherwise expected. They were formed in 2020. Conveniently, they're a six-person band, so no one gets left out from the Eurovision stage. They've released a couple of albums, they've attended music festivals, they've performed in various cities across Europe, and they entered the Serbian national final this year with their song Kraj, mene, which means next to me. And actually, it's their first ever song in their native Serbian. They achieved a very convincing win at the Serbian national final. They got maximum points both from the juries and from the public vote. Now, Kraj, mene is as we'd expect from a progressive metal band, it's a progressive metal track. It does contain perhaps a few more kind of melodic elements, and I did wonder, was that with Eurovision in mind, just to lend itself a little bit more to the wider public. It was actually written in English, but the band adapted it to Serbian to better reflect the song's emotion. Now, it's loud, very loud in parts, quite melancholic and reflective as well. And although, despite what I just said about having perhaps being made with a small nod to Eurovision, that band have said that apparently is not the case. They have not made it specifically for Eurovision. Now, there is no getting around that I'm not a metal fan, and so I'm not going to pretend that I will. I'll probably actively choose to listen to this on Spotify and YouTube and various other platforms. For me, metal's always just been rather a wall of noise, both vocally and the kind of instrumentation. Yet, I can appreciate that this is a genuinely authentic entry. There's a lot of meaning behind the lyrics and emotions. Performance is professional, it's committed, does feature a very notable metal scream, which is technically very impressive, though I personally am not a great fan of metal screams myself. My husband, slightly different. I think he is far more of a metal fan than I am. Now, some Eurovision fans may find themselves surprised that this will likely do pretty well, I think, at the contest. But I think some of those are the fans and the reviewers that possibly need to reflect or realise just because it's not a genre that they like, or not liked by certain demographics, that it can't or won't do well. We need to sort of break out of that mindset, and I think hopefully I do. There's clearly a metal fan base within the wider fandom, it would appear, because this is actually performing pretty well in the scoreboard app, and at the time of recording this, it's sitting in around 15th place in the scoreboard. Somewhat oddly though, if you just look at the semi-final only bit of the scoreboard, it fares less well. It's just outside the qualifiers in that. However, I do think this is a likely qualifier. It closes the show. It is an unusual standout. It's an unusual or standout genre for the contest, and I undoubtedly it will be a memorable experience. Assuming it does get to the final, which I think it will, I don't know how much of an impact it will make there. Juries have not historically been particularly favourable to this sort of music, even though the vocals can be very impressive. They've not always been rewarded by the types of juries that we've had. But I think that The juries are getting more open and the juror makeup is getting more diverse. They have made changes again this year as well, and how that's made up. So you have some younger people, so slightly broader, and they're larger juries as well. So it may do better with the juries than it might have done in previous years. I think probably this is likely to bring back Serbia to perhaps mid-table at best. I don't think it's not going to be a contender to win, but I think it's what Serbia needs to get back into the final after that disappointment last year. What do you think of the song? Is it your sort of genre? Are you impressed by the performance? How do you think it will do in the contest? Do, of course, let me know in the comments, and join me next time because we'll be inside the top 30. Take care for now.